So I want to know, why photography?
Photography was just an outlet for me. I started off as an illustrator, fine artist. I've been drawing and painting all of my life. So I use photography as a tool for reference photos, for still lifes and portraits. And once I moved to, after going to Maryland Institute College of Art and moving here, um, once I moved here, I did photography on the side as additional income. And because of my illustration background, it just took off. So I was really doing something different from other photographers, and it kind of gained, or it, celebrities noticed what I was doing. So it kind of moved pretty quickly, and that's how I ended up doing photography full time.
Well, you're really known for your alter ego photos, so I want to know the inspiration behind that.
Actually, that starts back in college. Um, like I mentioned before, I went to art school in elementary school through high school, and then I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art. And I pretty much took everything from, printmaking, sculpture, painting, drawing, foundation year to kind of decide what I wanted to do. So I took photography, and we learned traditional photography in the dark room. And we got on the topic of double exposure, which is basically um, exposing the paper twice, or putting two images on the paper to make one. So I did a self-portrait where I kind of did a double exposure, and I always had it in the back of my mind because I had forgotten where I thought about the alter ego concept until I was watching Top Model one day, and Tyra Banks. It's like, you got the alter ego concept, and they use top models to kind of evoke two different personalities, and I was like, well, that's just a double exposure. But then I was like, okay, it would be really cool if there was interaction versus one subject standing to the left and one subject standing to the right, where the person was grabbing himself or herself, and it actually was like that wow factor, like, how did you do that? So I kind of took that and was like, okay, I'm going to make this my own thing. And I started soliciting some of the celebrities I had worked with to be a part of the project, really trying to do a coffee table book or an art show and kind of show my skill set amongst photography. So, I reached out to all these local celebrities and had a huge event. And this is pre-Housewives of Atlanta. And I was just surprised at the turnout, from T.I. and Tiny to CeeLo Green to Janelle Monae. All these people came out to the exhibit, and most of them I hadn't even worked with. So I was like, wow, I may be onto something. So that's kind of how it began, and from that, I decided to proposition Nene, who was on the Housewives. I was like, okay, this would be like a free commercial. Let me ask her about doing it. And of course, she took the credit and art directed it. And I was like, that's totally fine, because I was thinking about the exposure and the opportunity. So it worked out in my favor.
Well, I love it, and I think that it's such a cool way to show two different personalities. Is there a celebrity who you've been most surprised with their alter ego?
One of the celebrities that I was most surprised would have to be Chaka Khan.
Okay.
And the reason being because Chaka Khan is a living legend and known for her music. Like Tell Me Something Good, Sweet Thing, all those things, and her personality and how soulful she is. And she told me her alter ego was Mother Teresa. So I'm like, wow, what a contrast. So I'm thinking, like, how can I illustrate this, or how can I do this? So, I had one of my makeup artists come in, and she aged her. And, the diva in Shaka was like, I don't want to look old, but she convinced her to kind of get into character. And it was pretty cool, because it's like, once they get into character, they really stay in the character. And then it's even better when there's a vast contrast of the physical attributes versus, their just the concept of the alter ego itself. So, her personality and the contrast of Chaka Khan versus Mother Teresa was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a great picture. I'm curious, you work with so many beautiful women, and with, photo shoots, you've got makeup artists, and you've got stylists and the right lighting, and then, all of that. What qualities do you really find make women the most attractive?
I think it all begins with the eyes. You know, that's a connection between the lens and the camera and the eyes and the soul. So, you know, the eyes speak volume when you're doing photography. So, that confidence a woman has, you can see it through the eyes, the sexiness, the playfulness, and someone that can evoke that and give you a range of character and appeal pretty much is a great muse. You know, I've worked with several celebrities and models, and one thing I could say is I'm drawn to beautiful eyes. So, you know, like even like doing video directing, like Chrisette Michelle, I did this piece called Charades, and she's like working the camera just with her eyes, and it's kind of like captivating, and it's very simplistic at the same time. So I always kind of gravitate and go back to those pieces where the subject kind of draws you in from that point.
I love that. I love that. What advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
When I was 16, the advice I would give myself is to take school seriously. I've always known what I wanted to do. So I really didn't take advantage of school like I should have academically. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to be an artist. I'm going to paint. I'm going to draw. No, I'm not worried about that. And then, you know, after I graduated, I realized how hard it was to, you know, actually get accepted to art schools and, you know, do your thing. And I realized that if I had focused more in that sense, that I would be far more ahead of the game.
So one of the things that I love about you is that even with great success, you are very humble and very kind. Where does that come from?
I'm a firm believer in that there's always somebody better than you, and there's always an opportunity of people have that may not necessarily be as skilled as you, and it can be gone tomorrow. So you really have to stay humble, and you have to focus that energy on being great and thinking of the next step or the next chapter in your life. And I just don't like arrogance and cockiness, because, you know, I kind of feel like you can learn from anybody. I've been blessed and fortunate to create art, and it could be gone tomorrow. Tomorrow no one may care about what I'm doing. So,
if you could photograph anybody, who would it be?
You know, this has pretty much stayed true for the past 10 years. I would have to say Angelina Jolie. She has beautiful eyes, beautiful face, beautiful lips. You know, she's just perfect in my opinion. So I would love to shoot her. So, right. You know, if you get that opportunity, please call me.
Let's just put that out there.
Girl, should be so good. It's so pretty.
What or who inspires you and why?
Like I mentioned before, I'm an artist, so anybody that paints with light and has strong composition, lighting, contrast, and I like to translate that into what I'm doing, where the photography just isn't photography, it's a medium to kind of paint or draw or, you know, to illustrate.
Is there a formula for a great photo shoot?
The most important formula is your team, and then your plan to execute, and then go for it, you know, with the alter egos. And, you know, even when I have the pleasure working with you guys, I always know what you want, and I make sure I have everything to deliver that. So if that's doing an alter ego, thinking about the ways to execute the vision, the final vision, as far as the shooting it, or, you know, pulling in props, all those things are important.
I like it. All right, well, that's all we have for you today, but thank you so much for spending time with us. It's
most definitely
exciting to get to know you a little bit better.